All right.
Oh.
Welcome, everybody, to the very first TYPO3 online community event ever. And we are going to start shortly with the first session in track 1, which will be Richard Haeser talking about the TYPO3 dashboard. But before we start, I'm just going to repeat a few things about the event. First, I'm going to remind you how the talk structure will be in general. So we will have this introduction by the moderator, which is happening right now. After that, we're going to watch the talk together, and then we have a Q&A section where I collect all your questions that you please write to the Mattermost channel or on social media, Twitter, etc. And then I will present your questions to Richard. And after we're done with that Q&A section, I will open the Jitsi room where Richard will also be present, so you can join and talk to him directly. This will also only be possible for people who are registered to the event. So if you are not registered yet and just watching this on YouTube, please consider visiting our website, t3oce.org, or in the channel description, you will find a link to the registration as well, and join the team. Let's get to the first talk. Speaker will be Richard Haeser, who's also now joining me in this call, and he's a long-time TYPO3 core contributor responsible for things like the SEO system extension and the TYPO3 dashboard, which will be the topic today. He pre-recorded his session. So we will just stream this pre-recorded video, but he will be there for answering questions live after the video is done. And Richard can now say a few words if he'd like to. Richard, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Hi, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I recorded my stream because I'm just back from a holiday, so I hope you will enjoy it, and make sure you ask any questions regarding the dashboard. You can contact me on all the channels, and I'm happy to answer all your questions. So I hope you will find it useful, and well, let's get it started, I guess.
All right, then I will take it away and say this talk will be about the TYPO3 dashboard. The summary reads like follows. With version TYPO3 10, we released a new dashboard into the core. And in this presentation, Richard will tell you how to get started with the dashboard, and the topics are how to use it and also how to create your own widgets. That's what interests us all. So now please everybody spam the clap emoji into the Mattermost chat. Give a big round of applause for Richard and enjoy the talk.
Hi everybody. As you might know, in TYPO3 version 10 we introduced a new dashboard. Today I will tell you everything about this dashboard and how you can use it. So for those people who don't know me, my name is Richard Haeser, and although my last name might suggest otherwise, I'm a Dutch guy. For the last 20 years I work with PHP, and the last 10 of that I work with TYPO3, and to be honest, I became a TYPO3 addict. Besides being the TYPO3 lead developer at MaxServe in the Netherlands, I am also a TYPO3 core member and the lead of the TYPO3 dashboard and SEO initiative. Before I go on, I want to share my personal motto with you, and that's get in touch with users, understand the real problems, and provide tools to solve those problems. Don't make assumptions. As we all know, they are the mother of all screw-ups. And only if you know the real problem, you're able to solve it. In all other cases, you will definitely fail. I try to use this motto with every change I make, and that way I know that I can help the user and not just be billable. As said, today will be about the dashboard, and in this presentation I will cover all the basics. First, we start with the question if we really need this dashboard in TYPO3 and why. After we answer that question, we will have a look at the new dashboard. What does it look like and how can you use it? TYPO3 core ships with some small widgets, and also some third-party extensions already have widgets for the dashboard, so let's have a check and what is already available. As I guess a big part of this audience will be developers, and I will briefly show you how to create your own widgets. And after that it's time to get started, and I will tell you everything you need to know to get started. Finally, of course, there is a Q&A session, and hopefully I can answer all your questions. So let's get it started. And we start with the question, do we really need a dashboard? And why do we need such a feature? Well, the short answer is yes. But to be honest, it depends. Because in the end, it's important to realize that we have different kinds of users, and each type of users has its own needs. What they have in common, though, is that they log into the backend of TYPO3 to do their job. Most users of TYPO3 find it hard to get information easily out of the application, especially when the editor is not working in the backend on a daily or even weekly basis. They need information to do their job, and sometimes they just want to get kickstarted. By showing all necessary information in customizable overview, they know immediately after login about the status of the installation and what they can start doing their job. So the goal for the dashboard was to help an editor to get in control of the TYPO3 installation by providing the information they need. So what have we done to get the dashboard into TYPO3, and what does the dashboard do? Let me start by introducing you to the TYPO3 dashboard initiative. I'm the proud lead of the team with Koen, Simon, Sanjay, Richard, Irene, and last but not least Daniel. It's a mixture of backend developers, frontend developers, UX specialists, and together we were able to solve the problem. And of course we had a lot of help of people from outside this initiative, people who reviewed patches, gave us feedback, answered our questions we had, because we really wanted to know what the user has a problem, and we want to solve that problem. So without that help, it wasn't possible to do such a thing. So all the help is highly appreciated. So thanks for that, and yeah, I hope I can count on you the next time as well. Before we started, we defined some goals to make it a success. First of all, the user should love the clear design and at first sight. And also about usability, it should work smoothly, and users should get engaged, because if you don't like what you see or how to use it, most likely you won't use it the next time. So it was really important that it's really easy to use and nice to see. Of course, the widget should be freely arrangeable by the user, because every user has its own needs. So one user wants a widget on that location, the other one on that position. So it's really important that you should be able to freely rearrange the widgets. And of course, as it's normal with TYPO3, it should be able to provide widgets from core, but also from third-party extensions. The dashboard is a core extension. It ships by default, and you have to enable it. It's called the dashboard extension, and with that extension, every user has its own dashboards. So no shared dashboards. Everyone has their own dashboard and is also able to create their own dashboards and freely arrange their widgets. Of course, not every widget is for every user available, so you are able to set permissions and make sure that the information is only available for those users that need that information. So yeah, you can do that with backend groups. There are some small widgets in core, not that many, later on I will tell you which ones it is. And of course, you have the possibility to create your own widgets. So, sounds great, I guess. But let's have a look how this all look like. So let's start with a live demo. When you're logged into the backend of Type3, you will start with the dashboard. And as you can see now, I just installed Type3 and I have my basic default dashboard that is shipped with core, showing me some about Type3 and some type3.org news and a getting started link. But this is really the basics. But this is showing how the dashboard works. So for example, I can move with widgets. I can say, well, the getting started, I know how to get started, so I remove the widget. You can completely rearrange your widgets yourself. You can also add new widgets. So for example, I want to have the documentation. The TypeScript template reference is really a thing for me, so please give me a link. So this kind of things, it's the basic usage of the dashboard. Freely rearrange, add widgets, remove widgets, it's up for you. Another possibility is to create new dashboards. Like you see, it's now one dashboard, my dashboard, but I can also add multiple dashboards. So let's give this a name, test dashboard. As you can see, you can choose between an empty dashboard or in this case a page speed insights. And this is called a preset. This preset is coming from a third-party extension, and presets will give you the possibility to add multiple widgets to a new dashboard at once. So when this dashboard is created, it will automatically place some widgets on it. In this case, all page speed insights related, and it will show you those widgets. After it's created, you're completely on your own. You can remove or rearrange the widgets. It's just to get you kickstarted. So for example, the PWA score, I don't need to see it here. So I have an overview of all my page speed insights widgets and my score over the last time. So in this way, you can easily start up your dashboards and make sure that the dashboard is showing you the information you need. Of course, you can rename dashboards, give it a proper name, save the dashboard, and of course you can also remove the dashboard if you like. So it will ask you for a confirmation, yes, delete it. This is the basic usage of the dashboard. So yeah, you can just add your widgets, rearrange widgets, create dashboards, remove dashboards. You're in control. Of course, the most important part of the dashboard are the widgets. And as you can see, we have some default widgets, like the ones you see now on screen, but there are some more widgets. So let's have a check what widgets are available. So now you have seen the dashboard in action, but how to continue and what's in for you. So what kind of widgets are available, for example. First of all, the widgets in core. As you have seen, we have some general information about Type3. We have the news about Type3 from type3.org, and we have some widgets with links to the official documentation. There's also a widget containing the information of Type3 security advisories, showing you the latest information about security updates and what's going on in security. And also a widget with the number of failed logins in the last 24 hours. Those widgets are really a showcase on how you can use the dashboard, what you can do yourself, and how to use the widgets as the basics. As the dashboard initiative, we also created an extension, a third-party extension called WIDGETS, available in the extension repository and on GitHub and packages and everything. and it contains some other widgets. So for example, we have a widget with an overview of all online backend users. We have a status report widget. We have a contact your support desk widget, an overview of recently changed pages, edited content, and we have a list of pages with missing translations. And some of them are already released, some of them are in progress, and some are on the to-do. But this kind of widgets you might expect in the widgets extension. A couple of weeks ago, I asked people on Twitter about, do you already have your own widgets available for the dashboard? And luckily I got some feedback on that. And as you can see in those screenshots, and you have seen already the PageSpeed Insights, which is from my own but there are several other widgets already available with third-party extensions, or at least people are using it. And as you can see, it's a wide variety of types of widgets and how it looks like. But one thing is in common, the real calm overview of the widgets, and it's in the end it's all looking almost the same. So that's the real important thing for, as you know, one of the goals, when is it a success? When people love it. So it's calm, it's usable, not too many colors, things like that. So really impressed by the widgets created by others. We also have some more widgets on our to-do list, like a to-do widget. So you are able to add some small tasks for you as an editor to know, okay, I don't need to forget that specific task to do the next time I log in, for example. And also a calendar widget, like, okay, there will be content that is published in 2 days, or that specific page will be removed after 2 weeks, things like that. So a calendar widget. Also some profile widgets, how-to widgets, outdated extension widgets, invalid links widgets, Google Analytics, Google Ads, you name it, we can use it and we can build it. So do you have an ID? Of course, you can create a request on GitHub. And the link is below. Just give us the IDs and we might work on those widgets. And of course, it's open source. So you can also provide your own pull request to the repository and add that widget. And we will check if this will be a good thing to add to the widgets extension, because in the widgets extension, we don't want to have logic. We just want to make sure that it's showing data from other extensions. How to create my own widgets. So it's becoming a little bit more technical now. First of all, you need to know that you have two types. You have a registration and you have an implementation. The registration is creating widgets based on the existing widget types, also known as the implementation. And the implementation is creating the own widgets type. And in the documentation, we stated that what the difference is between those two. The widgets provide some functionality, like collecting system log errors over a time span. And this functionality is provided by the implementation. A PHP class with some code, and the registration is done in the services.yaml file. In order to create the actual widget, which provides functionality during registration, options can be set like the time span. So the implementation is the real PHP code, and the registration is about the configuration and the settings of the implementation. I will show you how this will work in 2 example files. So the widget registration is done in the services.yaml file or the services.php file, of which the services.yaml file is easier to use. It's quite forward, just a YAML file, but the services.php file will give you some more flexibility, like conditions. Maybe you want to add a widget only if a certain extension is installed, things like that. Then you need the services.php file. You can register a new widget based on an existing implementation and add some additional settings. So for example, if you have an RSS feed, you can set the feed URL. Most of the time, no PHP code is needed for a registration. On the other hand, you have the widget implementation. That's based on a PHP class, defines the feature of the widget, all the logic, what needs to be shown is in an implementation. And you have the possibility to add your additional CSS and JavaScript and stuff. And it uses fluid templates for markup. So you're used to this. This is like Type3 is doing all the time. So let's check with two cases. The first case is a widget with RSS feed, with an RSS feed of my company. So first thing to do is to check in the documentation and verify if there is already a suitable implementation to do this. In this case, there is, and we have an RSS widget implementation. So before we get started, we only need to know what is the RSS link, and if there is a page with additional information or the complete list of news items, just make sure you have those two items. In the screenshot, you can see what you need in the services.yaml file and configuration. And it starts with just an identifier, like my extension.widget.company RSS. And the class is the link to the implementation. In this case, it's using the RSS widget implementation, and it uses the fully qualified namespacing. So use that class name to do that. You see some arguments like the view, the cache, the button provider, and the options. And the view and the especially is something you can just use it. This makes sure that it is using Fluid to show the widget and things like that. The cache one is, in this case, for the RSS. It's providing a backend, a caching backend, to make sure that the RSS feeds are cached. So not every user have to retrieve all the RSS feeds every single second. And the third one is the button provider. The button provider I will add in the next slide. I will give you some more information about that. And in the options you see that in this case we have the feed URL. And this is the feed URL of the RSS feed we want to show. So in this case it's from my own website, the feed.rss. The second part is the tags, and this is a really important part because this identifies that this part is a widget. So the name is dashboard.widget. There we have the identifier, and we should have a unique identifier in this case, because this identifier is used for the ordering and to add the widget to the dashboard and things like that. So make sure you have a unique identifier. The third tag option in the tags you see there is the group name. And this is the group name that is used for when you add a widget to the dashboard. You have these several options, these several groups you can choose of. And this one will make sure that this widget is shown in the news group. We have a title and a description. Of course, you can add language labels there. And we also have an icon identifier. Use the icon API like you do with all the other things as well, and use the icon identifier here to show the icon when you add the new widget. And last but not least, you have the height and the width. As I said before, you can set the height and the width to make sure that the content is, well, that the widget is big enough to show your content. So you have options, small, medium, large. Those options you have to create your own widgets. As said, there was one link, and that was the button. And you can see here that I created a new button. And those buttons are using the button provider. And with the button, you can add a link, a title, and a target. And you can reuse those buttons. So for example, if you have a button with more information or a link to your website or whatever, you are able to reuse that button. So in this case, I created a button with a language label and a link to my blog page. And it should be opened in a new page, in a new window. So you can create your own widgets and use it in your registration. And this is it. Just make sure that you clear the caches in your service, in your install tool, because you have made a change to your services.yaml file. Been there, done that. Don't forget it. Don't question yourself why it's not showing up. Make sure you clear the cache in the install tool. So not in the backend, in the install tool. And then we have the first case done. If we open the backend, we have the new widget available for users, and it will show our own RSS feed. So let's check another case. And in this case, I have a widget with a company logo, and it's, to keep it really simple, no real logic in it, but just to show you how to create your own dashboard implementation. So first of all, we want to check if there is not already a suitable implementation, and in this case there is no suitable implementation available we can use, so we have to make sure we have some PHP skills to create our own implementation. And I guess for the most of you that's not a problem. So we start with the logic, and in this case we created a PHP class, and classes widgets my logo widget.php. And as you can see, there are some important things to show. As you can see, it should implement the widget interface. If it won't implement that interface, it won't work. So make sure you implement that interface. You can see the configuration and the view and the options, and those are directly related to the options you had in the services.yaml file. And you can see here that in the construct, you see that the configuration and the view and the options are saved to the object. And in the render widget content, that's where the real thing happens. This method will be executed when the content is retrieved by Ajax in the backend, and it will, in this case, set the template, assign some variables, and in this case just a foo bar and some options in configuration, and it will render the fluid template, and it will return it as a string. In my services.yaml file I have this. As I said, the class is linking towards my own widget implementation we just created. We have the view, just make sure you use this view every time. And we have the options, and in this case I set a logo. So I created a link to my logo and provided it by the options. The text part, again, a unique identifier. Make sure you have a group name, title, description, icon identifier, and the height and the width of your widget. As said, it's using the fluid rendering. So in this case, I have a fluid template. It's having one section. Make sure you use the layout widget, because that layout will give you the header and the footer of a widget, and will make sure that you're able to drag and drop the widgets. If you're not using that layout, it is possible, but well, you have to implement all those things yourself. And in this case, I passed the options variable to the template, so I'm able to get my logo here. And that is in the second case. We just created a PHP class, we made sure that the widget is registered, and we added a template file. And of course, this is a real simple example. You can add your own logic, the class, you can do whatever you want, and in the end we just need some HTML, and that's it. So this is really the basics about how to create your widgets and what is the difference between a registration and an implementation. A way more extended manual can be found in the documentation. Daniel and I really wrote a lot of content about this, and I think this will help you in creating your own widgets. We also stated which implementations are already available and things like that. So have a look there. If you miss anything, please let us know, and we can make sure that this will add it to the documentation, or of course create your own pull request with the added documentation. I'm also working on some video tutorials on my own website, so stay tuned about that. Little small examples how to use and how to extend the possibilities of the dashboard. So with this, I came to the end of my presentation. Thanks for your time. I hope that you get some insights about the dashboard and that you know how to use it and how you can extend it and create your own widgets. And of course, this was just briefly check documentation and get in touch with me if you have any questions. And you actually do have the possibility now, like we have now a Q&A session. So please ask your questions and hopefully I do have the answers. Thanks for now.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you, Richard, for this very interesting talk about the TYPO3 dashboard. We have quite some time left, so I'll have a quick look if I found any questions. I don't think I have any. Did you pick anything up? Oh, Richard, if I can just interrupt you, it seems like you people cannot hear you. Can you just rejoin the Jitsi call one more time? And then we try that again.
Yeah, hopefully people can hear me now.
I mean, what would an online conference be without any technical issues?
Yeah.
Seems fine now.
Okay,
So.
great.
I mean,
yeah.
that was pretty good what you just said. So just say it again.
Yeah, thank you. I will do that. Well, I saw some questions about the Matomo widgets. Well, there is already an extension into the extension repository. Thanks, Chris. I hope you enjoyed creating those widgets. I saw also a question by Olivier Dobbelkow about the charts used in the widgets. We included chart.js library. You can use it. There are already some examples in the X widgets. The extension we used, well, we created with some additional widgets, and also my personal PageSpeed Insights extension. You can see some examples on how to use the graphs. Of course, also in the documentation, we mentioned about this. So have a look, and if you have any questions regarding implementation of those widgets or those graphs, please contact me. Well, you all know how to find me on Slack, Twitter, whatever. So more than happy to help. So do I see any? I see another question from Andre about, is it possible to create default dashboards for editors? That's something that is not in the video, but yeah, that is possible. If you create a dashboard, no, I have to say it correctly. You do have dashboard presets, as I showed you in the video. One of the things you can do with it's an option to for those presets is that it is created by default. That is an option, so every new user, or if someone removes all of his dashboards, all those default dashboards will be created. Please know that if you add that after someone already created some dashboards, it won't be created automatically. So you're thinking about if that's really useful to, well, automatically add those new default dashboards. So if you have an opinion about that, please let me know. I need to get some field information from that. So if you have any recommendations on that, please let me know. But for now, it is, if you create those presets, dashboard presets, you can say, okay, create it when a new user is entering the dashboard, and it will be created. So yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't see any other questions.
I mean, that's fine. They have very smart audience, so
yeah,
that's no surprise.
This is really the basics, of course, and it's all based on the services.yaml or services.php. So for everybody that is not right into, well, the complete dependency injection, there are some really nice blog posts and stuff, and of course it's Symfony, so they documented it a lot, of course. But it's, yeah, get used to that because you will need it here.
So if I were to create my own widget, and I have no idea, I've never done this before, and missed your talk today, what would you say would be the best entry point, the best point to start? Would you recommend looking at other widgets, or is there documentation, or?
Yeah, well, the documentation is really extended, I guess. For a core extension, I think there are not many core extensions with that much of documentation. Well, that's always great when you have Daniel Siepman in your team. Documentation will be done. But of course, just do it with little steps. Like in my video, start with a really simple one. Just create a registration of an already created implementation, and start creating your own implementation. If I check the widgets I created, for example, the PageSpeed Insights, all I had to do was creating data providers for my graph widget. So graph widgets work with data providers, so you can just add your data to the graph and you're fine. So no real hard logic. Just make sure you send the data to the widget. I will make sure that some more just small blog posts or at least how-tos are added to the documentation, because of course the whole documentation, we all know, reading documentation, we only do that when something goes wrong. So yeah, I will make some smart how-to, some small how-tos, how to create your own widgets based on what you already saw in this video.
All right, I see one more question in the chat. Very good one. What's your favorite widget?
Well, yeah, the company logo. No. Now, what my favorite widget is, to be honest, the not one from Core. The ones I would really like to have in Core are things combined with workspaces, or the link validator, because I think those are really helping the editors to doing their job. At the moment, I think the page speed insights for me personally, it's, well, I'm trying to create performing websites, and I would like to know if something is wrong within a page. So that extension and those widgets are showing me, okay, is my installation good on all those kind of things. And yeah, that's personally my my favorite one at the moment, but more to come.
Cool. Very nice. Very nice. Thanks so far. I think we are through the questions. Oh, there's one more from Chris.
Yeah.
Is it planned to make widgets customizable by users so that the user can enter some data which can be used in the widget? So like a more dynamic approach to widgets.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It was not on the most viable product part, because we would like to know what kind of options, because it's basically you. We thought about, okay, create just an RSS widget where you can add the RSS link to that, and make sure that is saved. At the moment, that's not possible. It's just predefined widgets. We are thinking about how to do that in a proper way. Things changed in the first version of the dashboard. That was not possible for sure. We switched now to the dependency injection part and the services.yaml file, so things might be a little bit easier now, but we have to make sure that the information is saved correctly and that it's created in a maintainable way. One of the things, for example, is that if you do the options, we have to think about, okay, but how do you define those options? Are you going to use TCA for that, or some other thing? We don't want to introduce a new way to add fields to something. So yeah, it's not that easy. So we have to think about how to implement that. And before that, I really like to know the use cases for it, because, well, if it's just for a thing like a refresh option or something like that, maybe we can make that more general.
Yeah, and I think people who have ideas and want to bring this forward are always welcome in the initiative, and
Sure.
contributions are also always welcome.
Yeah.
So if you have ideas, just contact Rickard directly in the TYPO3 Slack or elsewhere, and then I think you can get involved.
For sure.
We have another question by Frank. He asks, what is the plan for the extension besides more widgets?
Yeah, well, that's really, I don't want to create new things because I think it should be in there. So what my intention now is to get people, to check with people how they use it, what they miss, and stuff like that. So the feedback is really valuable. I think for the projects I use it at the moment, we don't have a real new feature request or something like that. So that's, well, not from my clients, at least. So please let me know. Things like options might be a thing. And for sure, yeah, we will make more integrations and things like that. So it is easier to create your widgets, even if you don't have PHP experience, and you can just create your own registrations. So that's the main thing, and yeah, checking feedback from others. So please let me know, and not only the ones, well, I love to use it. that's cool to hear, but in the end, I would like to get those missing features as well.
Sure. Just a quick reminder to everybody who asked a question until now, and also to everybody else in the Mattermost channel. We will open this Jitsi call after our Q&A session is done for everyone. So if you want to go deeper into one of the topics with Richard directly, you can join this call after we are done here. I will post the link in the chat then. Just a small reminder. If you do that, please mute your microphone if you join it. We will stop the YouTube stream before that, so that part of the session will no longer be streamed to YouTube. Just a reminder that a discussion can be deepened right after we are done with the Q&A part. But I see another question for you, Rickard, and that is about the front-end templating. So front-end meaning the actual dashboard in the back-end, the front-end of the dashboard. What front-end libraries are being used, and can they be modified and I guess also extended, or can I use my own?
Yeah, that's a good one. We really, my first question would be, why would you change it? Because in the end, we choose the libraries based on several things. Of course, the usability of the things, but also about licensing, as we have to deal with open source licenses that shouldn't, well, interfere with our own license. So that's one of the things that is really needed. The most visible library that is you see, of course, is the drag and drop. And to be honest, I have to look it up because it's been a while. So if you join after this, I will look it up and make sure it is there. One of the things we had to do there was also adding a polyfill for alt IE browsers, and that was quite a search because there wasn't any open source, well, not a recent one. There is a really there is a really often used polyfill for the animations, for the drag and drop, but the license was an issue. So we had to check, and a former developer of Google published some polyfill library, and that was MIT license, so we could use it. And in the end, we contacted him, and yeah, we used that. It's based on the system requirements of the upcoming Type 3 versions, because if we don't support the internet browsers anymore that need that polyfill, we will remove it, of course. But for now, we use that one. So my first thing would be, okay, why do you want to change it? Of course, for the graphs, for example, you're totally free to add your own thing, your own library, because you can, with a widget, you can add your additional CSS and additional JavaScript. So yeah, make sure that you can use that, but please make sure that you don't change too much in your UI, UX stuff, or it should be something that, well, should benefit, anyone should benefit from it, and we can have a look if that should be changed in the dashboard itself. We want to have a unified way, and also it shouldn't be that different from the rest of Type 3 to get well, a complete picture of Type 3. Yeah, so, but if you have any use case for it, please let me know. I'm really eager to learn from other people's how they use it and how they want to change it.
All right. So looking at the chat right now, I think we are kind of through the questions.
Yeah.
and actually I didn't look at social media, but I mean there was also already a lot. So I would now sign off and say goodbye to the YouTube viewers, and then we start and then we open the channel, I'd say. Or do you have anything to add before we end the stream?
No, I think this is fine. So yeah, please let us know. There we have a Slack channel as well. Common CIG Dashboard, Common Interest Group Dashboard. Please let us know if you have any questions. If you want to verify your IDs or stuff. Of course, you can contact me directly, but the dashboard Slack channel is really having several people answering and discussing. So you can always join that and make sure you ask your questions there.
Cool. All right, then I say once again, thank you very much, Richard, for being here and for your session, for being part of this event. Much appreciated. And to everybody on YouTube, we say now goodbye. If you want to talk to Richard directly, you can still register to the event to get access to our chat infrastructure from where you could enter the Jitsi call. But for now, we will cut off the stream at this point, and we will be back with the next session with Daniel Siebmann on this track in about an hour. So goodbye, everybody.